Coulston is a town in South London, mainly within the London Borough of Croydon, with parts of Coulsdon also falling under the London Borough of Sutton and Reigate and Banstead. It is south of Croydon's historic boundaries at Purley and is approximately 13 miles from Charing Cross. History. The location forms part of the North Downs. The hills contain chalk and flint. Several dry valleys with natural underground drainage merge and connect to the relict headwater system of the River Wandle named River Bourne. Although the Bourne River floods periodically, the soil is generally dry and is the watershed which has constituted a natural routeway across the Downs for early populations. Fossil records exist from the Pleistocene period. 4M years ago, there is evidence of human occupation from the Neolithic period, Iron Age, Anglo-Saxon, Bronze Age, Roman and Medieval, 675. Frithwald, an ealdorman and viceroy of King Wulfhere of Mercia, gave land at Cuthreadsdune to Chertsey Abbey. It appears as Coulston in the Domesday Book, 1537. The dissolution of the monasteries passed ownership to the king. The Taunton Manor, in the 1535 Valor Ecclesiasticus, is recorded having an annual rent accruing to the House of St. Thomas of Acre from the Manor of Tauntons was 100 ss, and approximately 450 acres of wood belonged to it, valued at a yearly rent of 12d per acre. In 1545 Henry VIII granted 2 homes with land in Wattingdon Manor, Coulsdon, Welcomes and Lawrences to Sir John Gresham, the manor having been owned by Chertsey Abbey in the 8th century when it was recorded as Huntingdon until the English Reformation in the 16th century. The Wattingdon Manor was granted to Sir John Gresham, the manor having been owned by Chertsey Abbey in the 8th century when it was recorded as Huntingdon until the English Reformation in the 16th century. 1553 The Coulston Manor were granted or sold to various families, including Sir Nicholas Carew, 1553, Sir Francis Carew, 1557, Jerome Weston, 2nd Earl of Portland, Sir Richard Mason, Sir Edward Darcy, Sir Robert Darcy, Sir Edward Bouverie. 1782–1921. Owned by 3 generations of the Byron family, who has already purchased the sub-manor of Hooley. 1801 The Byron family moved to live at Hooley House. 1838. Byron sold a large amount of land to the London to Brighton Railway Company. Byron moves from Hooley House to Port Knowles Farm. 1850 Hartley Farm was demolished and Coulsdon Court was built by Thomas Byron. It was said to be constructed of the last bricks to be made locally at Crossways. In 1854, to avoid the court, he adjusted the paths of some local roads, and created a gated drive from the public road. 1863 Edmund Byron inherited the title. After his use of the Enclosure Acts were curtailed when he lost a case 1877 at the Court of Chancery, large areas were sold in 1883 to the Corporation of London. The importance of this event was reported in the Times. He also sold and gave away various plots. In 1921, Edmund Byron died. The remaining lands owned by the Byrons were sold. Land and manorial rights were passed to the Purley and Coulsdon Urban District Council. For many centuries, the lands contained several farms and manors, and only on the coming of its branch railway were a few wealthy people from outside of the traditional borders attracted to build grand houses, by 19th century descriptions, such as this parish, which is situated on the road from London to Brighton, occupies an elevated position, and commands extensive and varied prospects. Until 1921, the Byron family had largely maintained this tradition, despite sales of earlier land. The sales in the 1860s increased the number of landowners. Most housing in Smytham and the clustered settlement of Old Coulsdon, as well as the narrower valley between them, was built in the 80 years from 1890 to 1970. The area developed mixed suburban and in its centre urban housing. The whole aspect of the parish has been completely transformed during the last 20 years by building. It was a little while ago entirely rural, with a few new houses scattered along the line of the railway and up the valley towards Caterham, whence another deep depression in the chalk runs down to Smytham Bottom. Now there are continuous rows of villas and cottages and shops from Croydon to south of Coulsdon Station. The valley and roots in Smytham Bottom encouraged some early settlements. and in it the Red Lion appears in the Bainbridge map of 1783. The coming of the railway and improved road links encouraged buildings along the sides of the major roadways and close to the stations. Since 1921, the sales of the old estate lands have replaced a countryside of discrete farms, with thousands of suburban dwellings. Coulsdon segregated its long-haul from its short-haul traffic by gaining the Farthing-Way A23 bypass, which opened in December 2006 as part of the Coulsdon Town Centre Improvement Scheme. Economy. In the first 2 decades of the second millennium, Coulston's retail area lost Woolworths and the bookstore on Brighton Road and opened the Pembroke and Cafe Copyright Nero. Waitrose has a long-standing branch in the centre, and Tesco Express opened in the period mentioned. A planned Sainsbury's with apartments above has been singled out for note by periodical New London Architecture. Aldi opened a branch in Coulston in 2015. Coulston has few large company head offices but substantial storage and technology premises. One notable head office is that of Jane's Information Group. Quarrying. The Hall family had been active in the Croydon area as coal and lime merchants since the 18th. In 1853 they leased an area of land in Coulston. In 1864 they closed their quarries at Merstham and increased their quarrying for chalk and flints and use of lime kilns in Coulston. This quarry at Coulsdon was named the Stoat's Nest Quarry. The works had its own internal railway system which connected to nearby main lines. In 1898, Hall were refused permission to build cement works on the Coulsdon site. The lime principally supplied for waterworks, gasworks and tanneries. Demand reduced in 1902 when the Army changed from leather to webbing equipment. And in 1905 there was no longer demand from the gasworks. Between 1905 and 1910 chalk was supplied for the Hall cement works at Beddington. In 1905, 13,000 tons of chalk were sent by rail from Coulsdon. By 1918, it was processing lime for use as fertilizer. In 1920, the Hall Company purchased 102 acres from their landlord, Byron. This offered their full benefit of the railways, kilns on the land. Halls maintained a trading depot in the Mulpit Lane Quarry from 1923. It was named the Ulswater Trading Estate. The limeworks closed in 1961. Place name, the town's spelling, pronunciation and location have changed. Coulsdon originally referred to the area now known as Old Coulston. The name derives from Coedagri Ra Dsdun via Coulston pre-1130, Coulston pre-1190, Coulsdon 1242, Coulston 1255, Coulsdon c. 1270, Coulsdon 1279, Coulston 1288, Coulston 1323, Coulston 1324, Coulsdon 1346, Coulsdon 1377, Coulsdon 1428, Coulsdon 1439, Coulsdon 1563, Coulston 1557, Coulston 1597, Coulsdon 1604, Coulsdon 1610, Coulsdon 1675, Coulsdon 1678, Coulsdon 1724. Additional variations include Curedeshton 675, Cudredeshton 675, Cudredesdew 967, Coulsdon 1083, Coulston 1085, Coulsdon 1234, Coulsdon 1242, Cudredestrio 1251, Coulsdon 1266, Coulsdon 1287, Coulsdon 1290, Coulsdon 1290, Coulsdon 1291, Coulsdon 1292, Coulsdon 1324, Coulsdon 1326, Coulsdon 1332, Coulsdon 1344, Coulsdon 1346, Coulsdon 1377, Coulsdon 1403, Coulsdon 1422, Coulsdon 1424, Coulsdon 1428. Coulsdon 1439, Coulsdon 1446, Coulsdon 1539, Coulsdon 1544, Coulsdon 1553, Coulsdon 1556, Coulsdon 1558, Coulsdon 1558, Coulsdon 1558, Coulsdon 1567, Coulsdon 1618, Coulsdon 1619, Coulsdon 1620, Coulsdon 1650. Coulsdon 1650, Coulston 1655, Coulston 1655. The widely accepted origin of the name is a hill of a man called Carthrc £, unregistered trademark. Alternatively, the name originates from the Celtic or primitive Welsh cull, meaning a leather bag, scrotum, bosom, womb or belly. The current town centre appears as Lydon Cross, 1738, or Ledron Cross, 1800, and Smytham Bottom. In 1905, the parish council, and then the post office renamed Smytham Bottom as Coulston. The name Smytham Bottom has also changed. Smythedon, Smythden Bottom, Smythdean, 1548, Smythden Bottom, Smytham Bottom. Localities: Coulston is a largely suburban district of London. The central area has substantial industrial, automotive and distribution services, convenience, standard socialising and niche retail as well as local professions of a typical town in the country, by its main road and main railway stations, Coulsdon South and Coulsdon Town. The alternate centre, Old Coulsdon, has a recreation ground cricket pitch-focused village green, a much smaller parade of shops than Coulsdon's High Street between Coulsdon South and Town stations and a medieval church. London's Brighton Road, locally the official name, and the railways, served by both semi-fast and stopping services, give Smytham Bottom Valley a bustling, busier setting for economic life. Old Coulsdon Old Coulsdon occupies the southeast of the district. Scattered, rather than clustered, are 6 listed buildings, for their national heritage and architectural value, at Grade 2. 2 categories above this, in the highest class, Grade I is the Church of St. John the Evangelist here. This is by the recreation ground, shortly after Milepit Lane has been joined by Coulsdon Road, from the north. St. John's is late 13th century with extensive later additions, made of flint and rubble with much brick patching. Its nave spans 2 bays. Older still is its good chancel of 1250 with stepped sedilia and piscina. The west tower above the entrance is of circa 1400 with corner buttresses and a tapering brooch spire. A nave at right angles, replacing the south aisle. In decorated style was designed for its 1958 construction by JBS Compare. Smytham Bottom or Valley At the heart of the geographical feature Smytham Bottom is this downtown part of the district. Most commerce and industry is here, set beside the Brighton Road, which is since 2006 a town centre arc of the A23 road, and on Chipstead Valley Road, which terminates halfway along the arc, leading directly to Woodmansterne. The various local feeder roads reach this street, including the combined one from the southeast, Milepit Lane, under the A23 without needing a junction with that trunk route. The soil is dry, and water was obtained even in 1912 by deep wells here in the chalk. This dry valley in the chalk, Smytham Bottom, has a watercourse below, the water of which in until the 16th century occasionally in times of flood ran here, but after this, inexplicably, waits to break out as far as at the foot of the chalk in Croydon and Beddington, running through it. The Milepit Business and Industrial Estate Milepit is the town's Milepit Industrial/Business Park estate, which is strong in storage, distribution and technology. The Mount or Clock House The Mount or Clock House is a square neighbourhood on a hill plateau with marked borders along 3 residential roads from Coulsdon, one of which continues from the town centre as the London Loop Path, via the Banstead Downs and Easty Well to Nonsuch Palace 4 miles northwest. It shares its local authority with that place as it is part of the London Borough of Sutton. Coulston Woods This neighbourhood is a loosely defined residential part of Coulsdon, equally on undulating ground. Cane Hill This area forms the area of the former buildings and grounds of Cane Hill Hospital. An approved development of the former site of Cane Hill Hospital by Bharat Developments may start in 2014, which if so, will create over 600 new dwellings. In 2013, Bharat published a public consultation document and report of feedback. Residents' protests and concerns relate to the likely effect on local infrastructure, including access routes, the proposed mix of housing, transport and the provision of educational services. Open spaces. In 1883, to prevent further loss of common lands arising from the Enclosure Acts, the Corporation of London Act, 1878, purchased from Squire Byron Farthing Downs, Coulsdon Common and Kenley Common, to add to the earlier purchase of Riddlesdown Common. The London Borough of Croydon own and maintain several parks, including Happy Valley, which, together with Farthing Downs, is designated as a site of special scientific interest. Rickman Hill Park is the highest public large park in London, at 155 metres above sea level. It cannot claim to be the largest small park due to the micro park which has been opened on top of 20 Fenchurch Street, nicknamed the Walkie-Talkie, spanning the top 3 stories of the 160-metre-high block in the city. A memorial park and recreation ground was purchased from the Byrons by Coulsdon and Purley Urban District Council and Hall and Company Limited in 1920, it was opened in 1921. The London Loop footpath passes through Happy Valley and Farthing Downs between Hamsey Green and Banstead. The Coulsdon section was the first of the 24 to be opened. Grange Park was obtained partly by public subscription but mostly by the Urban District Council in 1929 from the owners of the Coulsdon Court Golf Course. The land was sold for use as an open space or pleasure and recreation ground. Grange Park was formerly part of Squire Byron's Coulsdon Court estate. Grange Park is situated in a designated conservation area in the heart of Old Coulsdon and incorporates a children's play area and recreational green space. In total, Grange Park represents local green space of around 8 acres. Friends of Grange Park, Old Coulsdon are fundraising to completely refurbish the old and run-down children's play area. So far they have raised £38,000 to date, and the cost of their project proposals which are now unveiled is £100,000. They must try to raise an ambitious £12,000 before December 2015, which will see them reach a milestone of 50% of their project costs and enable them to apply for the remaining project funds. Places of religious interest. Places of worship include St Mary and St Shenalda Street, Andrews Anglican Church, St Andrews Church. From 1914. St Aidan's Roman Catholic Church from 1964. The Brighton Road Methodist Church. From 1911. CCF, Coulsdon Christian Fellowship, Beit Hillel Messianic Synagogue, St John's Anglican Church, St Mary's Roman Catholic Church, Old Coulsdon Congregational Church, Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses. Leisure, athletics. The Old Coulsdon House Harriers is a local hashing group. Gordon Parry, an English long-distance runner, lived in Coulsdon and was a member of South London Harriers, one of the oldest and most successful athletics club in Britain. The club has been based in Coulsdon since 1913, and remains there to this day. The club competes in cross-country, road running and track and field events, and trains from its Coulsdon headquarters 3 times a week. The club has been heavily involved in recent years in building an 8-lane all-weather running track at Woodgate School. It also has an active and successful triathlon section. Bare-knuckle boxing fights were held at Smytham Bottom. Records exist of fights in 1788 and 1792. Bowls. Played at the Mile Pit Lane Recreation Ground since the 1920s. A separate team played at the Ashdown Park Hotel. Chess. From 1949, cricket. Old Coulsdon had one of the first cricket clubs in the world, founded in 1762. It was one of the strongest teams in the country in the late 18th and early 19th century and once boasted 8 England internationals, as well as a young Stuart Surridge. The club was possibly the first to use 3 stumps and 2 bails and frequently played matches on the most famous early cricket grounds such as Mitcham, and later in Grange Park in the village. In 1995, falling player numbers forced the club to merge with the nearby Riddle Cricket Club, playing at the Ring on Earlswood Common in the Earlswood neighbourhood of Riddle as Riddle and Old Coulsdon Cricket Club. Cricket was originally played at Smytham Bottom opposite the Red Lion. The first archived results come from a games was played in 1731, Surrey vs East Grinstead. A cricket shed appears in Smytham Bottom as a fixed building in a map of 1785. In the 1880s, this area was built over, and the club moved to Old Coulsdon. From the 1920s, cricket was played at the Memorial Gardens. Cycling. Temperance Hotel. Football. Coulsdon United Football Club participate in the Combined Counties League Division 1. Golf. Played at Reigate Park Golf Club, since 1920, and at Coulsdon Manor. Green bowls is available next door. Ashdown Park Golf Club was founded in 1912. The club did not appear following WW1. Horse riding is available on the Downs. Coulsdon has wide and long pavements and indoor car copyrights from which to watch any of the London Brighton rallies. Hunting. Meetings of the Old Surrey foxhounds were held at the Red Lion from 1735 until 1908. In 1915, the hunt merged with Old Surrey Burstow and West Kent Hunt. Rugby Union. Purley John Fisher Rugby Football Club at Parsonspool, Old Coulsdon. Chipstead Rugby Club play locally at the Meads, Chipstead, offering mini, youth, adult social and adult league rugby. Martial arts. The Coulsdon Martial Arts Club is long established and very popular with children and adults, founded and led by the legend that is Errol Field, 12th Dan Judo, 4th Dan Karate, 6th Dan Jiu-Jitsu. The club is well known for its annual cheese competition, giving away complimentary packets of dairy lead to local pensioners. It is on the site of what was originally a Eurotina Euro unregistered trademark church built by the Roman Catholic Church in 1916. Theatre. Theatre Workshop Coulsdon branched from the Croydon Youth Theatre Organisation in 1970 and operates from the Youth and Social Centre. Other, the Memorial Gardens has an adventure park, crazy golf, basketball, tennis, cricket and, in the summer, beach games and events organised by the CAFAR copyright. Grange Park in Old Coulsdon has a playground, football pitches. Rickman Hill Park hosts football, and has a children's playground, a zip wire, and tennis courts that were refurbished in 2009. Demography. From 1889 until 1965 Coulsdon was in the administrative county of Surrey. Between 1915 and 1965 the residents conferring additional local powers to Coulsdon and Purley Urban District. Under the London Government Act 1963 the London Borough of Croydon was formed. The United Kingdom Census 2011 recorded that the two wards, Coulsdon East and Coulsdon West, divided by the A23 road contained respectively 12,244 people living in 4,912 homes and 13,449 living in 4,793 homes. The percentage of the population who declared their health as very good was 47% and 51% respectively. Education. Chipstead Valley Primary School, Coulsdon Church of England Primary School, Coulsdon Sixth Form College, Keston Primary School, The Lodge, Oasis Academy Byron, Oasis Academy Coulsdon, Smytham Primary School Street Aidens A.C. Primary School, Wattendon Primary School, Woodcote High School, Woodcote Primary School. Nearest places, Banstead, Carshalton, Caterham, Croydon, Kenley, Old Coulsdon, Purley, Reedham, South Croydon, Wallington. Railway, 1804. The Surrey Iron Railway was enhanced by the Coulsdon Merstham and Godstone Railway. These were horse-drawn railways. It carried quarried materials and crops from Coulsdon and Merstham, and returned with fuel, metals and other materials. To maintain a regular elevation at Coulsdon required large changes in direction, and the construction of 20-foot embankments and a road bridge. Remnants of the 1805 railway embankment are still evident. It closed in 1838 due to underuse. A bridge over the Chipstead Valley Road was demolished as dangerous in 1854. 1841. The London and Brighton Railway line opened. 1856. The Caterham Railway opened, initially intended to serve residents of Old Coulsdon. A station named Coulsdon opened. Later to be renamed Kenley. 1893. Authorization was given for a new line to be built between Purley and Kingwood. The Chipstead Valley Railway became named as the Tottenham Corner Line. Constructed by the South Eastern Railway in 1896, Opened in 1897 as a single-track line. 1900. The main line between Croydon and Coulsdon was widened. A new line was opened named the Quarry Line between Coulston North and Earlswood. Constructed 1898 a Euro 9. The line involved engineering work including cuttings, embankments and a covered way at Cane Hill Hospital. 1923. Various station names changes, following amalgamations between various railway companies. Railway stations names, Stoats Nest. Located over 500 yards to the north of the current stations. Closed December 1856. Located on the London-Brighton line. Coulsdon South. Named Coulston, 1889, Coulsdon and Cane Hill, 1896, Coulsdon East, Coulsdon South, 1929. Located on the original London and Brighton Railway. Coulston North named Stoats Nest and Cane Hill or simply Stoats Nest and replaced the earlier Stoats Nest station, which was further north, Coulsdon and Smytham Downs, 1911, Coulston West, Coulston North. The station closed in 1983. It was located on the Quarry Line, and included terminal platforms and sidings. Coulsdon Town named Smytham, 1904, Coulston Town. Located on the Tottenham Corner Line. Reedham. Named Reedham Holt, Reedham. Located on the Tottenham Corner Line. Kenley named Coulston, 1856, it was intended to serve the residents of Old Coulston. The station was shortly renamed as Kenley. Located on the Caterham Line. Woodmansterne opened in 1932, meeting the demand of new housing in the area. Located on the Tottenham Corner Line. References. External links, Coulston West Residents Association, Friends of Grange Park, Old Coulston, Coulston Community Website, History of the Village of Coulston, Coulston Relief Road Scheme. The Village of Old Coulston, well-illustrated site. Caterham Sea Cadets on Coulston Road beside the Common, Beit Hillel Messianic Synagogue Street Marian St. Shenouda Coptic Orthodox Church, see also St. Shenouda Street John's Church, the Anglican Parish Church for East Coulsdon Street Andrews Church, the Anglican Parish Church for West Coulsdon, Coulsdon United Football Club, Coulsdon Martial Arts.